Today, I'll be recapping my interview with my investor of choice, Mo Kalali, who is the CEO and founder of a string of successful car dealerships in the Midwest, titled Extreme Motors, and is also someone who has holdings in a plethora of sectors, mainly real estate, mainly trading cards and memorabilia, as well as the fact that he was an early investor in Bitcoin and also holds investments in a string of medical equipment and medical service companies. Our conversation lasted about 20 minutes and was very fruitful. He mentioned to me that his most recent investment was actually in real estate, where he purchased some dilapidated property that has much promise because of its location, its proximity to some developments in the area that are sprawling at the moment. And his itch for real estate started about 10 years ago when he was able to acquire a piece of property for about $165,000, a very depressed price at the time, recently flipped it for eightfold. And so ever since then, he's had a longing for expanding his real estate portfolio. When looking for an investment, he told me that, when looking for an investment, he looks at whether or not this investment is something that can hold water and stand on its own. He's not in the business of actively managing or desiring to actively manage his investments aside from his main vocation, which is the car business. And so he looks for something that can be passively generative for income in the future, hence cryptocurrency, hence real estate when once developed, right, and so on and so forth. He told me that when it comes to determining when to invest, it depends on the sector. I asked him, what are the metrics that you look for in a real estate deal, for example? He mentioned to me that a positively generative IRR and NPV, those financial metrics are absolutely opportunistic, but the intangible considerations such as location and potential for proximity to developments, other developments, and so on and so forth, those are the main factors that decide which piece of investment, which piece of real estate will he invest in, and so on and so forth. He told me that the most interesting company that he's ever looked at was a company that sought, and they ended up investing in actually, that sought to purify water in a very unique way. He was bound by an NDA and still is, so he couldn't really get much into detail on that. But that was the most interesting one. And he told me that the most common mistake that entrepreneurs make when pitching their investments is they tend to think that just because they have a service or provide a product that can either be cutting edge or possesses competition, that if they just capture a small string or a small piece of the market, or if the assumption is made that they're going to capture a small piece of the market, then all of a sudden they're golden. And he told me that that is the principal turnoff when hearing pitches, when investors say, if we can just do this or that, if we can just capture this amount of market share, it often signals desperation in his mind, as he told me, and it's not something that he wants to participate in, typically speaking. He told me that he's still at the stage where companies, he still reaches out to companies and still needs to keep his ear to the ground, so to speak, on an active basis when finding and identifying viable investment opportunities. But he told me that his goal is to be one of those big shot investors in the future who don't have to scout out the deals or who don't have to land on the deals, but rather have the deals come to him. Overall, it was a very comprehensive interview. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gained a lot of insight, and I wrote him a thank you note afterwards to kind of show my appreciation for the interview. So thank you again.